I just figure it out from what he told me.
I'll talk to you in a bit.
Okay. Auntie. Take care.
Bye.
Yo, what up? How's everybody doing?
Hi, Carlos. How are you?
Fantastic. Myself.
Hey,
There,
Carlos.
good to see you.
Hi, Carlos.
Good to see everybody. You guys ready?
We're ready.
More than ready.
There we go. I love it. Always prepared, right? We stay ready. There it is. How was your guys' holidays so far? Christmas, everything went well?
Right.
That's good. Gucci. There we
How was
go.
yours?
It was good. I worked like always. I worked till like 6 o'clock. I probably would have kept working if I didn't have family, right? If I was like by myself. But no, it was good. I worked till like 6 o'clock, got a lot of paperwork done, and then I ended up going out to my mom's house, which she literally lives across the street from me in the community across the street.
You're so lucky.
And she's next door neighbors with my brother. So literally next door neighbors with my
So
brother.
the family bought the street.
Yeah, it was really cool. And we played some new games that I've never played before. So it was very fun. We did some karaoke.
What games did you play?
I don't know the name of some of the games. There's this game where they get saran wrap, and what they do is they get a whole bunch of toys and they get a whole bunch of like presents, and then they saran wrap them, and then as they make the ball bigger and bigger, they put more toys in it, and you're supposed to get like these mittens, like cooking mittens or whatever. And you're supposed
Oh my God.
them, and it was just like some stuff I never played, but it was very fun. Very
Right,
good.
it's like make it hard to unwrap that gift, basically. Like you're reaching now
Yeah.
it's for the
That's fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. Hey, what's up, Veena? How you doing?
Hi.
That's in the house.
Hello.
Hi, Veena.
Hello. How are you?
Hey, where'd you
I'm
go?
sorry I'm running a minute late.
Oh, you're good.
Don't worry. Take some time. We're gonna wait a couple more minutes to get some more people in here, and then
Love
we'll
it.
get ready to
Hey,
rock.
Carlos, can you feature her so we can see her?
She's
How do
hiding.
we do this? I'm not the most tech savvy person. How do I okay, spotlight for everybody? Is that what I do?
Yeah.
You guys did.
Oh,
There we
I
go.
am. There I am.
I learned something new today.
I mean, I'm still learning Zoom, so I'm with you on this one.
Great, because I'm not tech savvy. I'm old school. I just get things done, and I have people help me out with all the technical stuff.
I love it. A man after my own heart.
And who is
Veena.
it that's doing your graphics there, Carlos? Because that's pretty cool.
What Josh, like how Josh has some stuff in the back. Well, the guys who do my graphics is Josh Keating and Dustin Reyna. They help me out a lot.
Nice. It looks good.
Yeah, Josh could give out.
Kudos, Dustin.
We have a Zoom background for anybody who wants it. Like you can see Josh in the background. It says Powerhouse, and he has like some smoke. He has like, I don't know, some midgets smoking in the background or something. But it's a pretty cool background.
Here he is. Oh, that's so good, Josh. I love it. Way to go.
Veena, how's your day going?
So far, so good. Actually was just on a call with Nick, my securities attorney, where you guys know we're putting together like that legal challenge. So I'm really excited about that. So I was giving him the quiz to make sure that all the answers were right.
Okay.
How was his birthday?
It was good. It was good. He said it was kind of raining in LA yesterday, so he didn't get to go for his birthday hike, but he went for like a 7-mile walk instead.
Wow.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, and then they got dinner at like an upscale Chinese place. And he said it's kind of cold in LA right now.
Oh, too bad.
I know, right? Right? Says the Chicagoan.
Chicago and Detroit. What about Chicago and Detroit, huh?
No kidding. I mean, it was cold in Dallas too, but now it's like 70 degrees. It's incredible here today.
Wow.
Well, that's
Actually,
awesome.
today it's kind of warm in Detroit too. It's about 49.
Well,
which
you look
is
like you're on
warm.
an island, Gabriella.
Oh, yes, of course.
So I don't
That's
know.
just the
Michigan
background. I
looks
wish I would-
different than I remember it.
I'm a desert boy. I live in Coachella Valley in Palm Springs, and I can't handle cold weather. I got a sweater on, and it's probably like 70 degrees outside.
Wow.
I know I'm a Chicago native, and now I'm like, oh, it's 50 degrees. This is like getting really cold out here. And I'm like, I think back to my childhood. We used to wait for it to be 65 so the pool would open. And then my sister and I would go ride our bikes to the pool in 65 degrees. Like, that's insane. Who does that? But
Yeah, I remember when I was younger too, I didn't really care about the cold or the heat. I loved it.
I don't know how I did that.
Yeah, I'm ready to kind of fly away from Michigan. Probably like
Yeah.
a year and a
Wait,
half.
Gabby, wait, don't leave. I'm going over there in with Dustin in February. We're gonna do some agent outreach for the Monzo group, for like one
So
of the
you
biggest.
coming to Detroit, you say?
Yeah, they're taking care of us. They arranged us to fly out there and to get on stage and talk to some agents about creative
Okay, so
financing.
when are you coming? So let me coordinate my meetup for that month with you guys on tow.
Sure. It'll be like, I
Yes,
believe,
let's do
like
that.
the
Nice.
second or third week of February. I think like the like 16th to like the 20th we'll be out there.
Okay, I'm putting the meeting then on those days. Let's connect afterwards so we
Sure, let's
we
do
can
that.
coordinate that. I love that. Yay.
Sweet.
Hey,
So
Carlos,
we'll
I'm gonna grab some water. I'll be right back.
Cool. Grab a gallon because I always bring mine next to me.
I know, I really should have.
Carlos, did you say that Uncle Lonzo's gonna be there too?
Dustin Reyna.
Oh,
And
okay.
Josh-
I thought you
and
said
Josh
Lonzo. I
Keaton.
was like, I didn't know you and Lonzo worked together. Sorry.
I know I know Uncle Lonzo though. He's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I just thought
I didn't know what the Lonzo method was until I guess I had mastered the Lonzo method and put it on steroids, and everybody kept telling me, hey, you're doing the Lonzo method, but like at a high level. I'm like, what's the Lonzo method? And then they explained it to me. I was like, oh, then I guess it is the Lonzo method, I guess. Well, every one of the deals I've ever done was through, I guess, the same method, JV deals. I locked up my first deal yesterday from Dustin's CRM and my own lead gen, but every other deal that I've done was like a JV deal, basically.
Mm,
Mhm.
Good
That's
job.
great.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's really great. Do a JV with me.
Let's do it. I'll do JV with all you guys. Rock and roll.
I gotta get my first deal, God damn it.
I tried to buy Veena's mom's house, but that didn't work.
Seriously?
Yeah, when she gets back here, I'll let her know. Like, hey, do you remember I negotiated your mom's house or your parents' house?
Oh my God, how funny is that? Oh, maybe you should
And then,
wait
and then
until
she
after
was open to
the.
terms. She was open to terms, but she basically wanted to sell it on a wrap to me. And I'm like, well, that doesn't work for me because here's
That's gonna be
why.
hard to insure.
Market. So you're charging me market. They're like, hey, Veena, do you remember?
You
You
submit
remember
to
when I had
96 on
called you because
297
on behalf
from
of Josh?
The
and then-
floors look really good.
Hey guys, can you guys go on mute?
Josh,
I
you want to
do
make me a
remember.
co-host so I can help manage?
Hold up, sorry.
I do remember. You called me about my in-laws house.
There you go. Yeah, on the in-laws house.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember like we were talking and I was like, oh yeah, that isn't gonna work due to the fact that
Hang on,
you wanna
I cannot hear you.
let me go ahead and mute. Everybody on mute. Great.
Carlos or
Carlos,
Josh,
make Dustin co-host or host.
All right. Let's see. Where's Dustin at? Okay.
They don't never understand. Mama is sitting up with hate in her heart. And that's sad, Mama.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
Okay.
Dustin, Dustin's
We
smiling.
argue almost every morning. Damn.
People.
Guys.
See, I don't agree with her.
I love
There was a
it.
disagreement happening in front of our eyes.
Maybe we can offer a solution.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's all vote. Tell us the disagreement so we can weigh into.
Go ahead. I'll listen.
Who needs to be muted?
What is that? No, this is a Zoom.
Hey guys, do me a favor, please. Out of respect, mute yourself if you're going to be talking behind the scenes. Thank you. No, what I was talking about, was when we talked about your in-laws house. Yeah, it would have made sense like if I was going to be the homestead buyer to move into it, because I was like, that's something I would do, but I'm not gonna be able to make money. And then I explained like you should just wrap it, and then you're like, F this. That's why I stick to multifamily.
Yeah, that's basically what I said. I was like, I'm not doing, like, for me, my biggest fear in that whole situation is that I was going to end up with another single family home on my books next year too. And I was like, oh, this is
You can unmute yourself. That was my fault. Sorry. It was delay.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Now I can. I was like, help me. I have no
Sorry,
voice. That's
Veena.
like my worst fear coming true where I can't talk.
Well, let's go ahead and just get into this, Veena. It's thank
do
you
it.
first off for getting here, and Josh for allowing the opportunity to bring Veena in here and getting her on stage. And we're all excited. We all know about you. We all watch you, and we're all excited to get into proximity with you. So thank you for coming here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Cool. So can you kind of introduce yourself? Let some of the other members in here know who you are and what we're going to be going over today.
Yeah, so I'm Veena Jetti. I am the founder of a company called Vive Funds. I'm a large multifamily owner operator. I know there are lots of familiar faces who have probably heard me do this bio 1,000 times, but we buy large Class B value add multifamily assets in the Sun Belt, Texas, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona. So Sun Belt plus Arizona. We look for value add opportunities, 200 plus units, 75 million and up. That's kind of our buy criteria. And I am here. Are we talking just about multifamily, or do we have a specific multifamily topic? Just multifamily in general. We're going to talk about all things multifamily here. And a lot of you guys have been in Zooms with me before, so I like to drill down into one topic and like make sure you guys really understand that one specific thing. But today, let's take it to the 100,000 foot view. I love talking about just multifamily in general because it's, I'm not even biased, but it's the best asset class that exists. And you know what? I'll tell you too, that is, okay, I might be a little biased, but mathematically, and those of you guys that have been on my Zooms, you know how much I like numbers and math. Mathematically, it has the highest Sharpe ratio of any asset class, which means it has the highest amount of return for the least amount of relative risk. So the numbers aren't lying that this is the best asset class too.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. No, we're excited to have you. Everybody was super excited texting us. A lot of women look up to you. They were so excited for you to come in.
I love that.
And I remember how humble you were, because I was very, very new. I've been in the business 7 months now, and now I have my own mentorship, and I own a few $1 million worth of single family homes, and I have like 9 properties in escrow, and I coach for some people now. It's nice, but I remember on my second or third month, I had gone to the Clever Summit.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm so new that I didn't know who the hell Pace Morby was at first. I knew Brent Daniels and Grant Cardone and Robert Kiyosaki, and that was it. And then by the end of January, I knew Pace. And then I went to the Clever Summit, and then I heard you speak on stage, and I'm like, damn, this woman is killing it. But what was cool is I remember messaging you as you were walking behind like off stage and saying, hey, one day I'd love to get in proximity and work with you. And you responded like that. And I was like, wow, this girl's awesome. Yeah, you responded very quickly. I'm like, dude, this girl's awesome as hell. She's like,
we should give me a round of applause for that, because you should know I never respond to text. I'm so bad at text. Like, if you catch me in the right moment, you will get like a whole entire text conversation that's prompt. If you catch me like 99% of the time, though, I'm like, oh, I have to respond to that text from like 8 months ago. Okay, I'll do it right now.
I kind of feel that. I'm getting that.
I guess it was just meant to be.
Yeah, I was like, she literally is like still walking into the back of the stage and was able to respond to me. I'm like, that was quick, super quick.
I'm glad that I was able to do that.
Yeah, and from there I was like, all right, this is cool. And then eventually, I started to learn more about real estate, period. And now that I've been here for some time, I'm like, cool. Now I'm going to switch a lot of my energy into multifamily, because I have understood and heard more, read some more books, heard you speak more about it. I'm like, yeah, same energy, takes a little bit more time, but same energy. And you could basically pay all your expenses with the same business and make money. And for value add, you can make a lot of money on the exits or on the acquisitions up front. So I'm like, let's rock and roll. Let's do this.
I love it. Well, welcome to the multifamily world.
Yeah, I'm coming to crush it. So I'm gonna have some fun with you guys. Cool. So let's get into it then. Yeah, let's go.
So tell me, where do you want to do Q&A? Is that how this is going to work, or do you want me to give you guys kind of like?
Yeah. Let's get into some Q&A, and then from there you can kind of go over some of the things that you've been working on and how some of us can start jumping into getting getting
Yeah.
into this, right? How to look at it, how to see what value adds to get into different classes, what's fairly like the best methods to jump into as far as cash or creative, because I'm understanding a little bit about both and whatnot. And I think even creative is a little bit more like it's almost normalized in commercial over like single family. Like it's been done for a lot of years in there. And so if anybody has first questions, like you guys can raise your hands and then we'll go in order. But if you want to add to any of that, Veena, because I'm also just talking out of what I kind of know or don't know.
Yeah. So first and foremost, what I would say is creative finance. It's funny that your perception is that it's more common in the multifamily space, because I think it's way less common in large commercial assets than it is in single family, mainly because the kind of money that's involved, like the equity players and the debt players on large multifamily, typically just have more red tape. There's just more rules that we have to follow and we have to go through before we can finance any of the assets. So even if you come to me and you give me a great creative finance deal on, so Pace was on my deal in North Carolina, in Charlotte, North Carolina. We closed. We bought it over $100 million. We bought it in June. And let's say like even Pace, like the GOAT, right? Like came to me and was like, hey, Veena, I want to buy this asset on creative finance. And as much as like I'm the president of the Pace Formby fan club, as much as I want to do that with him, and as much as I know he would give me stellar terms that would really work, I'm handcuffed. I can't do that because one, I can't move my debt that quickly. I'm locked out and I'll go into technical default if I do. Two, I have investors that I have to get their sign off on it. And it's not like 2 investors that I have to go and have a phone call with. It's like 100 investors, right? So depending on what the deal is and how it's structured, it's actually sometimes a little bit harder to do anything out of the narrow box of cash purchases or assumptions, but loan assumptions do happen very often. That is very common in the multifamily world, but creative financing, seller notes, stuff like that, that's really reserved for assets that are maybe owned by one person or that are not owned by institutional equity, or they're more like mom and pop, smaller owners. So it just depends, but I think it's actually much easier to do it in single family than it is in multi, but I don't know.
Hey, yeah, that makes sense. For some reason, I just picked up some books over the last month, all
Yeah.
multifamily, and like none of them talk about like, hey, this is a creative finance book, but almost every book that I've read in there has talked about creative finance. So in my head, I was like, yeah, maybe. But you just told me about it, and now it makes sense because some of those syndications or whatever, how there's a whole bunch of different people in there that could, it makes more sense than cashing them out than having to go creative because there's so many different people involved with the deal. That makes sense. That just opened my eyes. So.
But maybe you qualify syndication as creative finance, right? Because syndication is leveraging other people's money. You can still buy assets with $0 out of your own pocket. So it's not impossible to creatively finance a deal with, you know, a traditional debt or a loan assumption, and then bringing other people's money to the table. So I guess that's how you look at it. How do you define creative finance?
Right. Okay. Cool. So we got our first hand up with
Yes.
Effie.
Hi, Effie. How are you? Long time no see. I think it's been since yesterday.
You're on mute, Effie.
She's still muted.
She's going off though. So
Yes, she is. Who has the power to unmute her? Is it Dustin?
Dustin for Effie.
No, it's me.
Yeah,
Oh.
I left it open.
Oh,
And
there
I'm
we
being
go.
so-
He gave us
I'm being
control of
silly.
that.
Okay, so I have to say that I'm very, very excited that we're in this venue where we can just ask some questions.
Yes.
You have been so phenomenal and are continuing to be so phenomenal in sharing and teaching to us, that you can see what's happening. People are just following you everywhere. You are lucky that you're getting to go to your own bed and your own bathroom without us in there. So
I don't. You know, I have twin toddlers. I never go to the bathroom by myself. I haven't in 3.5 years.
well, that's right. They're the leaders of the fan club for sure. But
Yes.
I wonder if you could take a few minutes to just go back to the very beginning of your journey
Mhm.
to where we are now. You know, we know very much, but we're very excited. We're learning from you like sponges. But that very first, you know, you made a decision to step into multifamily.
Mhm.
And then you had to do what we are doing,
Mhm.
learn and grow. And then
Yeah.
you got your first deal.
Yeah.
Like, what did that learning curve look like? How long did it take? What was the first deal like?
Yeah, the first deal was so hard. I cried myself to sleep every night for 6 weeks. Like, I'm not even just saying that as like a thing I'm saying. Like, I actually cried myself to sleep because I was like, I'm not going to be able to close this deal. I just lost all this money. Why did I do this to my family? I've ruined everything. I literally had a conversation with my husband in the middle of the night when he was sleeping. I was like, babe, wake up. We have to sell our house. I have to liquidate all of our retirement accounts. I need to sell your Porsche. And he was like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about now? Like, then he paid attention, right? And he's like, listen, I need $1.2 million. Nobody is giving me any money. All the people who told me they were going to give me money did not give me money. I don't know what else there is to do. I have to just sell all of our stuff till we have $1.2 million so that I can close this deal. Otherwise, I'll have ruined my name forever. I will lose all this earnest money. I don't know what to do about this. And he was like, my husband's like a very stable human being. He's way less dramatic than I am. And so he's like, babe, you got this. You can do this. Just let's go to sleep because it's a normal time for people to be sleeping, and let's work through it tomorrow. It's like, okay. So, I went to sleep. The end result was I ended up getting the money. I called like literally every single person I knew. I'm like, hey, we went to high school together and we had chemistry class. Do you remember me 20 years later? Right? Like, that was how desperate I was for money at that time. So all of this to say, the first deal is the hardest deal you're ever going to do. And it's so crazy. He did not sell his Porsche. We did not have to sell any of our assets. I ended up raising the capital. But I say all of this because a lot of times when you're looking, especially in the like blinders of social media, that's the highlight reel, right? Like when you hear me speak at these conferences and you hear me talk about this like massive portfolio, and you hear me talk about raising $50 million in 8 weeks, right? Like, that's a topic I speak about a lot. I didn't start there. And if I had to raise $50 million, I had to raise $1.2 million in 6 weeks and I couldn't get it done, right? Like, that's how big the learning curve is from the first deal to like the 15th deal. Or I don't even know how many deals,
What
whatever.
about, like, what you're saying right now? I get it. And you should keep being it, because it is scary to wake up your husband and threaten to sell his Porsche in the middle of the night. He could hurt you. But I want you to go further back.
Further before that.
Yeah, to when you decided to get into multifamily.
Okay,
the point where you said, what the hell am I doing?
I mean, I still say that today. So that's like, I basically should have a t-shirt that says, what the hell am I doing? Because that's basically how I feel about most things in my life. So with that, going even further back. So let me give you guys kind of like the background of how I started investing it all and give you kind of that path, right? So I graduated from college when I was 20 years old. I got my degree in finance. I graduated from high school a year early. That's why I was so young when I graduated from college. My mom is a single family real estate investor. She built a pretty large portfolio that both my parents retired early because of that portfolio. And she did it really because my dad traveled 45 weeks out of the year. She was essentially operating as the solo caregiver, solo parent, while my dad was at a W-2 job. And so my mom really started investing as a strategic way for them to save on taxes. And at that time, Carlos was not putting together Zooms 30 years ago, right? There was no Pace Morby. There weren't all these masterminds available. And so my mom started investing as a way to save on taxes and also contribute financially to the household while my dad was working and traveling 45 weeks out of the year. And my parents are immigrants, so they didn't have a safety net that I have here, right? Like, they couldn't just move back home with mom and dad. That would mean uprooting our whole life here and going back home to India. So I graduated when I was 20. I had my degree in finance. My mom was like, great, like now you can come work for the family business. It's going to be great. Like, you know, all the dreams you have as a parent for your child are like finally coming out. I was like, Mom, I'm an adult and I have a degree. I don't need to work for you. I'm going to get my own job. And she was like, okay, you know, like push me out of the nest, let me go be great. Right. And so I was like, I'm going to do something completely different than you. And so I worked in corporate real estate and I made a bunch of money for other people. Right. So in 2012, I got married and my husband and I paid taxes married for the first time. And I was working at Tishman Speyer at the time. I had a $1 billion asset that I was on the management team for. And I paid taxes married. And I was like, why did we just pay like it was like $200,000 or something at that time. I mean, it was a little more. And I was like, that's what happened. Like, why am I even working right now for just going to pay everything in taxes? And we were living in DC. So they had like their state income tax and there was, you know, the alternative minimum AMT or whatever, alternative minimum tax. And so I called my mom and I was like, Mom, this crazy thing just happened. I just gave away $200,000. And what do I do? And my mom was like, well, you guys are both high income W-2 earners. You need to quit your job and you need to be a full-time real estate professional. It's the only way. And you know, it's that saying.
Better than
right?
saying you should be a full-time mommy.
Oh yeah, no. My mom, my family's very progressive. So that was
Good.
not her response. You know, my mom was raising 2 daughters and she wanted my sister and I to be independent. And she wanted us to marry people that were successful and that could support us, but she cared more about how they treated us. Right. And she wanted to make sure that my sister and I could stand on our own 2 feet. And that was really important to her. It's important for me when I'm raising my girls. But yeah, so she says, quit your job, be a full-time real estate professional. It's the best way to save money on taxes because it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, right? Like if you make $1 million and you pay $500K in taxes, then it's better to just make 600,000 and keep all of it, right? So it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. So anyway, ended up quitting my job, started investing. I talked to my husband first, started investing for us and started buying condos. So I bought condos in DC. And then shortly thereafter, maybe like 6 months later, we moved to Dallas, which we're in Dallas right now. After moving to Dallas, I started buying single family homes and I bought them from like wholesalers. I had realtors that would source deals for me. And the week I feel like that was really pivotal was I bought 5 houses in a week. And I was like, oh gosh, this is not sustainable. And so I was like, I can't do this. There has to be a better way. There has to be a way to scale. Now, the advantage all of you guys have that I didn't have is nobody told me that you didn't have to have $10 million sitting in your bank account to buy multifamily. I didn't know that. And so I ended up going to some local REIA meeting, or I can't remember which conference, it was some conference. So I ended up going there and then I learned that you could raise capital. And I was like, okay, that seems legitimate, right? Like you hear about companies like raising a round A, a round B, a seed round, whatever, right? So it's like, okay, maybe this is kind of similar to that. And so that's where I kind of fell into the rabbit hole of raising capital and of understanding what multifamily actually was. So I already had the finance degree. I already had the single family operations. I was already operating multiple units. I already had the commercial experience of operating a $1 billion plus asset. So for me, really what I needed was the multifamily piece, but because I had all these pieces in my background already, it actually was a natural transition for me to get to the multifamily side. Now,
were you raising those money when you started? So you decided to become good at raising money.
I didn't have a choice, honestly.
Were you doing
I didn't know I was good at raising money.
Well, you know, I mean, to be a capital raiser. So if you were you doing that for yourself or were you doing it for other multifamily?
So I partnered with another sponsor and I wasn't, actually, I'm glad you brought this up because I really hate the word capital raiser. I know like a lot of people use this, like I'm a capital raiser. unless you are a broker dealer, you should never be a capital raiser because it's a broker dealer violation of the securities rules. And I'm not an attorney either, so I can't even give you legal advice, but you are not a capital raiser. So in addition to raising capital, like we had operational control, we were making decisions, we were managing the asset, we were doing all these other things, right? So no, I was not a capital raiser. Did I raise capital for the deal? Yes. I still raise capital for the deal, but I don't only raise capital for any deals. I always am involved in the acquisition, the operations, the due diligence. Like there are many pieces to it. And obviously today, but at that time we delegated between a co-sponsor and our team.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully that's helpful to you guys because if you guys are just starting out, it's going to be hard. Your first deal is going to be the worst deal. Like if it doesn't make you think that you are maybe doing the wrong thing and that you should quit, then you're just not doing big enough deals. Because literally every deal I do, even today, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking doing this deal? This is crazy. And then we do it and I'm like, okay, this is like an epic win. It feels great. And then it's like, okay, we're going to do the next deal. And then it's like, what am I doing? This is crazy. Who does this? Right. So like, you should always be outside of your comfort zone. And that first deal is going to be the hardest. It's just once you like, I quit every day, right? I just restart the next day is the key. So that's what you have to just keep going and have that perseverance and that grit.
I want to say thank you. And I will be quiet, but I just want one last little question. When you partnered with someone and you were the one that was going to start raising funds, how long did it take before you actually found that deal?
So we had the deal first before we started raising the capital.
Oh, I see. So you went with them and then you guys started looking for a deal.
Yeah.
Before you raised the funds.
We had the deal first. Yeah, we had the deal first. So
well, wait a minute. What does that mean? Because, you know, we had the deal first. Sounds like it just fell on you the first day you started.
No, so I knew who I wanted to partner with. When a deal came that made sense, we both looked at the deal. We said, okay, yes, this is the deal we're going to do together. And then actually the first thing I did was I called Nick. I had all of our securities documents drawn up, all the filings, et cetera. And then we went out and raised our capital. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Awesome.
So you went with the partner first. That's great.
Partner first. Yep.
Thank you.
Well, partner/deal first, because it would have been a different partner that we were interested in partnering with that a different deal ended up working out.
Right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Effie. Okay, Ayana, hello.
Hi, Veena. I met you at Grant Cardone.
Yes, how are you?
One thing that rung true is that you are so humble, and very impressed by that.
Well, thank you. I try not to be a jerk whenever I can.
But my questions, I have two. I'll keep it short. One around family.
Okay.
And then the other around your team.
Okay.
When did your husband get on board with you, and how do you manage time with your toddlers?
Very poorly. So when did my husband get on board with me? You know, he's always been supportive of anything I wanted to do. Actually, a funny story, when we were first dating, our first date, I was like, just so you know, I'm going to be a stay-at-home wife and I'm not going to work at all. And I was like waiting to see what his reaction was. He was like, okay. He's like, do you want to have kids? And I was like, yeah. And then I'll be a stay-at-home mom and I won't work at all. And he's like, okay, if that's what you want to do. And you know what he said to me? He said, you know, the value of a stay-at-home mom is about, and this was like 11 years ago, so it's a long time ago. He was like, the value of a stay-at-home mom is about $150,000 a year. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if you tried to replace the value, like just like the hired out value of what a stay-at-home mom does, it would probably be about $150,000 to do that. And I was like, oh. And I remember I was telling my mom about that. And my mom was like, you should marry him because he will never undervalue you ever, no matter what you do, because he sees the value in a stay-at-home mom. And a shout out, by the way, to any stay-at-home moms in here, because I'm a working mom and that's hard, but there is no way I could be a stay-at-home mom. And it is like, they're the real heroes. Single moms and stay-at-home moms are like the real heroes here, because that's the hard work. but and it drives me nuts now. And because of what my husband said to me all those years ago, and I still remember it so clearly, it drives me nuts when someone's like, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. What do you mean just a stay-at-home mom? You're like doing the hardest job that's ever been invented. And so it drives me nuts when stay-at-home moms are undervalued. As a working mom, I feel very strongly about this. So with that, my husband is like, has always been supportive of anything I want to do. If I was like, honey, I'm going to quit and I'm going to be like the next Britney Spears, he'd be like, you can do this and let me watch all the footage so I can laugh in private, right? Like that's who my husband is. But he does not get involved in real estate. He does not know anything about real estate. He doesn't really know where we own assets, like literally no involvement in my business. And I found out a couple of years ago, he's like, yeah, a lot of people at work are always asking me how they can invest with you. And I was like, well, what do you tell them? He's like, oh, I don't tell them anything. I'm like, thanks, honey. I appreciate your help. He's like, well, I don't know. I thought maybe it's weird if it's like, no, they're approaching you. You're not approaching them. So he's clearly not someone who knows how to raise capital, but he's always been supportive. As far as balancing time, I hire out anything and everything that I hate doing or that doesn't cost me a lot to hire out. I have not done a dish in years and I won't start doing it now. I don't do laundry. I haven't done laundry in years. All of you that do laundry still, there is an app called SudShare. This is going to change your life. SudShare. All you do is you like schedule a pickup. You put your laundry out in like a basket or bag or whatever on your porch. There will be someone who comes to your door, picks it up and washes and dries and folds or hangs and starches and irons and does it all for you. And in 24 hours, it'll be back on your porch. And then you just go about living your best life. So things like that, life-changing. I have housekeepers that come. I mean, it takes a whole entire village to keep our world running with my girls. I really try to prioritize my time when I'm with them. I don't answer my phone when I'm with them. I am not like on Instagram or sometimes we watch TikTok together. That's like their reward for sleeping in their big girl beds. But generally, I try not to be on my phone. I try to keep between 5:30 and 7:30 every evening as available as possible for them. Every now and then I can't, but that's generally what I aim for and try to do. And then, I try to travel with them whenever I can. And so it's really, we have to go for quality over quantity. That's what my dad did with us. He was gone 45 weeks out of the year, but he was very present, very involved. I had like the best dad. I say had like he's not alive anymore, but he lives down the street from me. So I still see him all the time. But I had the best childhood growing up and both my parents really worked to make that happen. And then your second question to me, I'm sorry, it was like such a long-winded answer, but hopefully someone got something out of that. And then the second question was around who my team is or how did I find my team?
How did you pick your team? And I know a lot of people say you should find a mentor. Did you?
Yeah.
And how did you go about that?
Yeah, no, I took like the long and stupid route, actually. I did not have a mentor, and there's many, many podcasts and like videos of me. I'm positive if you look back far enough where I'm like, I would never pay for mentorship. I would never pay for networking. I would never pay for like, oh my gosh, never. How many times have I said that word? And I'm like trying to take my foot all the way out of my mouth now because in the last 2 years, I've been in these types of rooms, right? Where there's mentorship, there's community, there is goal setting, and there's just a camaraderie that happens in these paid spaces. And the difference between a paid space and a free space is in a paid space, those are the people who are serious. The people that are in the free space, some of them might be serious, many of them might be serious. Some of them are just there because, okay, there's no barrier to entry, right? Like it's clicking a couple buttons to join those groups. It is easily the biggest mistake that has cost me the most amount of money that I've ever made is not joining or understanding or realizing the value that exists behind these paywalls, right? Now I'm in these rooms because I've earned my stripes, right? Like I've transacted enough, I've done enough deals that I have the experience resume, but I quit my job, my corporate job in 2012. It's been more than 10 years for me to get here. You guys have the benefit of being able to write a check, invest in yourself, and then take that and be purposeful and actionable with it. The biggest waste is if you pay for a mentorship or networking and then you don't do anything with it. That's a waste of money. You absolutely shouldn't do that. No one should do that. But if you're serious and you're going to take action, then this is the best money you're ever going to spend. So that's
Thank
my
you.
2 cents on it. You're most welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, Phil, hello. Can you hear me?
Hey, Veena.
How are
How
you?
are you? I know. It's been so long. I'm not like
Mhm.
Effie.
I know. I didn't see you yesterday.
I know. I've been trying to be like focused and intentional and getting things done. It's
Love it.
Carlos has been motivating me to be much more intentional with my time. So thank you, Carlos.
I love that.
My question is about capital raising. Because
Okay.
you said that we need to be careful about what we say we're doing, what we're actually doing. So what are
Yes.
some of the things that we should not say, that we should not do, and that's okay to say and okay to do?
Okay. Everybody get rid of the word guaranteed from your vocabulary forever. We don't ever guarantee anything ever, no matter what. I don't care how sure you are. Right? So that is like a 4-letter word that we never say, right? So, hey, what kind of returns can I expect? Oh, we guarantee an 8% return. And then no, you don't. You do not guarantee anything, right? We have a pro forma projection, or we expect, or we are underwriting to, but we don't guarantee anything. So that's like 1. 2, Phil, are you taking my legal challenge that's starting soon?
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. You're going to actually find that really helpful based on this question. So basically, it's going to be a 3-day challenge. And what we're going to go through is all of the basics of, am I selling a security? Do I need to register with the SEC? Do I need to have an exemption, right? What are the exemptions I can use? What's an accredited investor? Like all those questions, we're going to go through all of that. But it's important to know what those exemptions are, because in a Reg D 506B raise, for example, right? Like B like boy. And if you guys are in the legal challenge, you'll know this by the time we're done with this. So don't get overwhelmed by it. But okay, in that exemption, I can raise from as many accredited investors as I want. And I can raise from up to 35 sophisticated but unaccredited investors. But the caveat is I cannot publicly advertise that. I can't generally solicit. So I cannot come on the Zoom where I don't have a pre-existing substantive relationship with every single, there's 100 people here. I need to have a pre-existing substantive relationship with all 100 people in here. And then I can say, hey guys, let me tell you about my deal. It's called Stonebrook. It's 192 units. It's in North Carolina. It's amazing. Here are the projected, not guaranteed returns, right? So that's going to be one big barrier to entry, or not barrier to entry, but one of the big mistakes or big no-nos of a 506B raise. Now, on the other hand, if I'm doing a 506C raise, which I do 506C raises, Reg D 506C, like Charlie, I can raise from as many accredited investors as I want, and I can publicly solicit. But the caveat to that is I can't have even one unaccredited investor, and I can't rely on you telling me if you're accredited or not. I need to have a third-party verification, or I have to take reasonable steps to substantiate it, which the SEC has said is not a self-testimony from the investor itself. So then I can come in here and say, okay, I don't know any of you guys. Hey, do you guys want to invest in this deal I have? Okay, if you're accredited, give me your email or whatever, or your commitment, and I'll send you documents, blah, blah. I mean, I would be a little bit more smooth about it, but generally that's how it would work. And then anybody here can invest, whether I know them or not. I could meet someone at the grocery store and they can invest. So the big difference between a 506B and a 506C is in a B, you have to have a pre-existing substantive relationship before a deal is on the table, and you cannot generally solicit. On a C, as long as everybody's accredited, you can generally solicit. And that is like the big difference. So knowing those differences are huge. So if you don't know how you're raising your capital, it's really important that you know and understand that. So hopefully those will help.
Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you very much. And I
You're
do have
most welcome.
second question as well.
Okay.
Piggybacking on what Effie was talking about going back in time, you said that once you purchased the 5 houses in 1 week, you knew it wasn't scalable. You went to multifamily. Yesterday, I was on briefly when you and Pace were talking, I think it was yesterday, you and Pace were talking about that multi is a long, slow train.
It is.
Like, how slow is this train? And is there any way to speed it up? Because I know a lot of us are in this and we have no idea how we're getting that first check.
So I would say it depends. It depends on how much work you're putting into it, how much effort. You know, from the time I started considering multifamily to the time I had my first deal, it was probably about a year or so. It was a long time. There's a very long learning curve. The speed to it is being in these rooms. The speed to it is being around people that are doing what you want to do. The speed is actually partnering with people who have done 1, 2, 3, 4 more deals than you have that can guide you through the process. But there's not like a clear shortcut where I'm like, oh, go read this book and then you'll be done and you'll be ready to go. I mean, it takes a lot of work, and that's why it's really hard to get into multifamily, but it's worthwhile once you're in here.
Okay. And then, so once we're in, we have the deal, we're working the deal with our team. And how does the process of getting paid work?
Getting paid. Okay. So it depends how you structure the deal. If you're owning and operating the deal or buying the deal, yes, Sean, once you get in the country club, it gets easier. But there's many ways you're going to get paid. So first way is you're going to probably have an acquisition fee. You possibly are going to have a financing fee. You're going to have an asset management fee. You're going to have a disposition fee. And then you're going to have equity in the deal, which is also called a promote, right? So the GP slice of the deal. Generally, that's going to be about 30%. And then we have what's called a home run hurdle. So like if I hit a home run, I get paid more. So I go from 30% to 50%. So 70% to passive investors, 30% to me, until we hit our home run hurdle, and then we go to 50-50. So that's where we really get paid, right? Like you might get $1 million in fees up front. You might get 200,000 during the course of operation. You might get $1 million on the disposition fee, but where you really make your money is on the equity of the deal. That's where you make like $2, $3, $4, $5, $10 million, depending on the size of your deals, right? Like the more zeros you have, the larger the checks are going to be. But that's where there's many ways to be paid in multifamily.
Okay. Thank you, Veena.
You're welcome.
You're amazing. Appreciate you.
You're amazing. I will see you in my group because you're like always in my top 10. So we're going to have our Zoom next month.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Phil. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hey, Veena. Thank you so much for giving us all this
amazing
nuggets. Thank you, Carlos, for having this Zoom. Thank you, brother. Veena, question. So what would you say, again, I think we discussed a couple of days back, every day we're pretty much on the Zoom with you. So it's kind of, maybe it was asked, but I'm going to ask again. So what would you say if like to start from a smaller asset, like 20 to 50 doors, something that more like kind of achievable, that, potentially, we can get the money from PMLs or some friends, the family, and to have as credibility, even though it's a couple of partners, we own this, but I'm already credible, so next deal that we go, which is bigger, and we're going to need your help as KP or Pace or whoever. So like, it will be kind of easier, to like, would you recommend something like this, or we should aim, to the stars and then see what happens, so.
I always say go big or go bigger. So no, I don't think you should do 20 to 50 units because it's hard to do 20 to 50 units. Now at like 35 units to 40 units, that's where you are in like 7-figure earning potential territory, right? So that's a great entry point for that reason, because like you don't want to do a deal if you're not going to make $1 million on it, right? Like it's a lot of work to not make that much money. Now, with that being said, at 70 units, that's the sweet spot for where you can start affording to have a leasing manager or a maintenance person, right? So that way you can have someone who's dedicated just to that asset, you can justify that cost. And maybe in today's market, it's probably closer to like 80, 90 units, but 70, 75 and up is probably going to get you pretty close to there. So I always say it's better to take a smaller slice of a larger pie than a large slice of a smaller pie. So go partner up with somebody who also thinks that they can do 20 to 50 units. And instead of buying 20 to 50, go buy 100 together. That's what I think you should do. It's just this, the money is in the scale of real estate, of multifamily real estate. It's not in doing more deals. Like on single family, the more deals you do, the more money you make, right? With multifamily, when you get to a larger scale, you make more money on each asset and then the effort becomes lower.
Understand. But for the credibility, as you said, you have mentioned this, with pace, you know, like, again, don't look at the equity, you're going to get 1%. Okay, that's fine. But what is the fastest way? And again, I know there is no recipe. I know it's all kind of there. Each one, it's individual, or there are different teams, you know. So what would you recommend, you know, as we have a team of people, you know, that we're all like everyone has different, you know, like someone is doing the outreach, some doing the underwriting, some will be raising capital, you know. So what is the fastest way to, and this is maybe a little bit as the previous lady, I forgot her name. What's the fastest way to get to the first deal, you know, and actually to put it under our portfolio? What would be
partnering? So the fastest way to do this is go and find someone who has done like 2, 3, 4 deals and partner with them, and, you know, bring capital, bring acquisition experience, bring due diligence, bring operation, whatever your skill set is, to them. And that was part of the conversation that we had extensively yesterday, right? Is like, even if you're getting 1%, you're getting that on your resume, right? Because now you're a general partner in a 100-unit deal, 200-unit deal. So don't think that you have to start with 20 to 40 units. You can find a partner that will gladly partner with you on 100 units. So let's say you go out and you find a deal. It's a great deal. You underwrite it. It makes sense. You want to go for it. It's 100 units, 150 units, let's call it. You can go and you can find 2 or 3 other partners who can bring, you know, capital or operational expertise or a KP or whatever it is, because they've done 2 or 3 deals. Maybe they haven't done 100 deals, but they've done 2 or 3. They have enough experience to pull you ahead with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So partnership is easily, and this is a team sport. You are not going to do billions of dollars of transactions all by yourself. It's highly unlikely that that happens. So the faster you find partners you like working with, and the faster you find someone that you're aligned with, the better it will be for you.
I understand. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Carlos, again for having this meeting.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. All right. There's somebody I know. Looks like there's a Texan in line. Hello, sir.
What's up, boss?
How are you?
Doing good. Hey, I know I think one of the biggest things that I love about what you teach is how easily it flows, right? One of the things about raising capital is you want to talk about your avatar. I think that's always important when it comes to raising capital, is you have to have a specific avatar. And when I heard yours, I actually met a friend who is a dentist.
Oh.
And he has a Facebook group with 8,500 dentists.
Is he based here?
He is based in Rome.
Oh, I think I know who it is.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I do.
So you want to talk about that a little bit for everybody?
Yeah. Okay. So investor avatar, when you're raising capital, don't go and just try to raise capital from anybody and everybody, because I tried that and it's really hard. What you actually need to do is you have to like really narrow who you're talking to so that you can talk to them in a way that they understand and they receive it, right? So a stay-at-home mom who has like young kids that are 10 years away, 20 or 15 years away from college, right? Their priorities are going to be different than the retired surgeon. And so you want to be able to talk to both of them. You want to be able to pitch your deals to both of them in a way that makes sense for them, that gets them excited about the deal, right? So knowing who you're speaking to, which I call like your investor avatar, like knowing your investor avatar is so important, because once you have a clear picture of who you're talking to, all of your branding, your marketing, your pitch, what you say, right? Like what you practice saying is so much easier because you know the one person you're talking to. When you're talking to the stay-at-home mom and the retired surgeon that we're talking about, you're talking about it, it's just too broad, right? Because I want to be talking about college savings, generational wealth to the stay-at-home mom. To the retired surgeon, she's probably already got money in retirement, right? So I might not be having the same conversation with her about, oh, you're going to be able to grow and create generational wealth. She's probably in a sustain mode where she just cares about the cash flow and she just cares about the tax benefits of being invested in real estate. So, and the stability of real estate, right? Because she's retired, she's not earning anymore. Her portfolio is probably not growing as much as it was 20, 30 years ago. So depending on who you're talking to, you want to make sure that you're having those conversations to the person you're talking to so that they get what they need out of it. And so that's what an investor avatar really is.
And it really helps a lot because you already know what the talking points are for those particular people.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly right.
Thanks, boss.
Victor, appreciate you. Hi, Gabriella.
Hi, Veena. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much, Veena, for everything you're doing for us and all these Zooms that you're putting for us and everything that you're sharing with us. It's just so spectacular and inspirational for me. So I thank you.
I thank you. Thank you for letting me pour into you guys.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, it's 2:00 and I'm not home. I'm gonna miss this Zoom. I cannot do this. It's just always, like I want to see what you want to say and like I want to learn from you because you have achieved so much in your life and this is very inspirational for us as women, and we want to be there with you.
I love it. I love it. I could use a lot of women at the top.
Yes. And we want to learn from you, because you are our inspiration.
Thank you.
So I wanted to kind of ask and piggyback actually on Effie's questions from the beginning.
Okay.
And understand what was your first partnerships structure? Like what were you? Yes, it's for us being at the beginning of the road. We're trying to kind of find our partners. How do we? How are we able to determine like, is this the best partner that I can put in my team? Like, what type of partner I'm looking for? How many partners should I be looking to work with? So
this is like the question. I've been waiting for somebody to ask me this because I'm like, oh, it's like I have to go through all of this. Okay, so here's the how I did it and how I wish I would have done it, knowing what I know today. So what I had done at the time was I partnered with multiple people. So there were 4 of us, and we created a new company with its own brand, and we bought deals together. So everything we did was all the 4 of us. If I could go back and redo it, I would not have done that again, because here's what happens. And my partners were great. Like I learned a lot with them. I grew a lot with them. I had an incredible support system. But what happens is when you first start out, everybody's really excited and everybody like wants to like make money together and do great things. And like, we all have these big dreams and big visions, but none of us really knew where we were going to end up or what our path forward or trajectory was. And what happened was we kind of outgrew each other. So I got to a point where I didn't want to do certain deals, or I wanted to do certain deals, and I wanted to partner with certain people. And I had certain strengths that other people who wanted to partner with me couldn't do that, because now I come as a package deal with 3 other people. And so the way I would do it today, if I could go back and tell young Veena to redo all of this, the first thing that I would do is I would have rolled out a Vive Funds type company where it's myself, my sister's a minority partner. It's a little bit different because I have like a lifelong relationship with her. I know it's a little different working with your sister. But, and you might not have family that you can work with like that with. So just, you know, for me, it works. It might not work for you. Right. And so I would roll out a company where I had only me and I had complete operational control. And then I would go and I would JV with other companies. So I JV now with another woman-led company called Blue Lake Capital with Ellie Perlman. And so her and I are JV partners. She's the only partner at her company. She's incredible. She's easily one of the smartest people I know and have had the pleasure of working with. And I love working with her. I've been working with her for years. We've done, I don't know, like $600-700 million worth of deals together. Like we've done a lot of deals together. And what I love about her is we both have our own separate companies. We both get to be the queens of our own castles, but we come together and we like fit in to where the other person's like weakness or like something I just don't really like doing, she does, and vice versa, right? So we make a really good team and we're really strong like this.
Right.
And the great part is I can go out and I can partner with you on a deal. I can partner with Pace on a deal. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But I, out of respect for her, because I absolutely adore working with her, I always go to her first. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this deal. Do you want in or not? And if she says no, I might go and partner with someone else and vice versa. So there's like a mutual respect and just a love of working together that we always go back to partner with each other first. But it's not, we're not married to each other. Think of it kind of like an open relationship where she's like my main squeeze and I'm her main squeeze, right? Like that's really what it is. So it's like more of a, we just like working together, so we keep doing it. But if it stops working, it's really easy to unwind that and then move on from it. Someone asked what the name of the JV. There's no name for the JV. It's just both our companies.
That was actually my next question, but Ayana asked the question because so I wanted to understand, you know, like company-wise structure. You have your holding company, and then you have your subsidiaries, right? And one of the subsidiaries, let's say that it's Viv Funds that you have, right? Yeah. So that subsidiary Viv Funds will JV with her subsidiary on these deals.
So Vive Funds never, ever, ever owns anything. It is just the brand. Vive Funds will JV with whoever, right? Like Gabriella, let's say you and I are doing a deal, right? So you and I are going to JV. Vive Funds and Gabriella LLC are coming together to do a JV. We have our agreement between each other.
Right.
Now the way we do it is we establish a new company called Vive Gabriella LLC.
Okay.
That's owned by Vive Funds or whatever the entity is. Like for us, we have different entities. We don't own in Vive Funds. Vive is just operational. And Gabriella LLC maybe owns the other half of that. And that's how we share the partnership or the JV structure there. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. It does make sense.
So we always establish a new company for every asset.
Yeah. Okay. That was my question. Because I didn't understand how to make the structure, but thank you so much for specifying that, because you want to create these new companies with all these new partners, but I guess that's the wrong route, because you build this company together. I mean, like it's better to JV in a deal than to create the company with the partners that you think that you're going to be working for many years, and maybe you grow apart, or maybe you have different avenues to go.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is there's so many ways to make money. It's not that like my partners are wrong. Yeah. It's just that I want to do something different, and that both are okay. I mean, they're really successful. I'm really successful. It's all good. So it's dependent on who you are.
Yes. And what you want to achieve. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, that thank you so much. That clarifies yes, for sure. Because we are right here and we are trying to kind of talk to each other and go that route, and how we're gonna go that route to start this process. Yeah.
So, consider just doing it asset based. So every deal you do, you create a new company, and whoever's a partner in that company, that's who you put into that LLC. And then independently, you can brand and do everything under Gabriella LLC.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Very, very much so. Thank you so much, Veena.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Carlos, I know we're like a little bit past time. Can I just get through the rest of these questions that are here right now? Is that okay?
Yeah, you can just run through that. I was just putting a little message there too. I know that we got to respect your time. So
Okay.
you've answered a lot of great questions. Maybe we can speed answer a few more, but yeah, guys, let's keep it real short. And
Brevity's not my strong suit, but I'll try.
Yeah. Cool.
I'll try. Okay, Olga, what's going on?
Hello, Veena. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for all the knowledge you always pour in so many Zooms a week. You know, you're just such a giver. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
most
you.
welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I have a question about following up with the Phil's question. So with the 506B pre-existing law and build relationship, how long do you need to have that relationship, let's say, with that doctor? And how do you prove it, right, that you really had a relationship? And also, do you probably hire a lawyer for something like that to help you to structure the paperwork, right?
Yes, hire a lawyer. You need a securities attorney. That's why I was saying, like, my first call is always to Nick, because he always structures our deals. If you guys don't have a securities attorney, like Nick McGrew, Polymath Legal, he's Nick NIC, the lawyer on Instagram. So yes, you need that. What was your first question? How the substantive relationship, how you know, right?
Right.
So it's really fun because the SEC will not tell us what substantive is or what pre-existing is. So there's generally steps that your attorney is going to tell you to take, and different attorneys are going to have different thresholds for what they believe is acceptable. But generally, right? And again, I'm not an attorney. Let's say my neighbor wants to invest with me. I think that that is reasonable to say, like, oh, okay, you have a pre-existing substantive relationship. The gray area is, okay, we met on this Zoom, right? And we're talking on this Zoom, and let's say this is the only time we've talked, and then I send you a deal tomorrow. Probably not going to meet the test, right? So a lot of attorneys will advise multiple points of contact, and then they'll advise that you keep notes on the person. And so that's really documentation. That's going to be the key, right? If the SEC comes and says, hey, we don't think you had a pre-existing substantive relationship with Olga, I'm going to pull out my notes and be like, no, she has 2 kids and she lives in Florida and she went on vacation in Hawaii. If we didn't have a substantive relationship, how would I know those things about her? Right. So those are the things, like, you want is documenting it and making sure that you are papered up correctly. But it's one that there's not very clear guidance on.
Okay, thank you. May I ask one more question about the fund?
Okay,
so
if it's
I know,
quick.
yeah. So I know sometimes people, they're also creating fund even prior they have the deal.
Yeah.
Also, I'm assuming there, of course, has to be a lawyer involved.
Yes.
How does it work? Let's say I'm asking Alex, right? He'll be my future private money lender or investor. So do I tell Alex, okay, transfer money now before the deal is there, or do I take some sort of commitment prior and then I will rely on them later?
Okay, so once you have your documents done, you could take the money right away. You shouldn't, because it's going to decrease your IRR and it's going to decrease your average annualized return. Because let's say you have 6 months before you find your deal, right? So I would wait until you had a deal to take the capital. Now we do it the hard way, where we're like, okay, we have a deal now. Everybody wire 100% like right now, because we have to close in 90 days or 60 days, whichever, right? And so what you could do, and probably the smarter way to do it, if you're going to raise on a blind or semi-blind basis, is you raise the funds. You say, okay, you're going to write me $100,000 check. Give me $10,000 now. And then I will capital call you and give you 14 days to give me the other 90K. And then use that money to go buy the deal once you have it. So you capital call when you have the deal. It's much harder to raise on a blind or semi-blind basis without a track record, especially. So if you don't have a track record, I recommend waiting until you have an actual deal, but be verbally raising capital in between, right? Like right now I could say, hey, I focus on Class B value add multifamily in these markets. This is what we target. This is what we've done historically. What questions do you have about me, my team, our strategy, our company? Answer all of those. And then next month when I have a deal, I'm going to say, hey, Olga, I'm so glad you're excited about multifamily. Here's the deal, just as I told you it was going to be. These are the returns. This is the specifics of this deal. Are you interested? Then it truncates the amount of time needed to raise that capital.
Okay, so let's say, let's take Alex. So for instance, if he promised to invest $100,000, I can take at the beginning 10, you're saying, right? And then call him, say, transfer the rest basically. But is there any paperwork that people fill out, to have a fear that 1 year you have a deal, but then they back out, or they say, no, I maybe invested with someone else and now it's not available and stuff. Like, do you secure it somehow with the fund?
Yeah, so that $10,000 up front, that could be like a penalty if they don't fund the capital call. So you could say, okay, well, we're going to keep the $10,000 and you're not going to get any investment, but that's why it's much harder to do that. And I don't recommend it if you're just starting out.
Yeah, just starting out. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're amazing.
Good to see you.
All right, guys. Sorry, we're gonna cut it short. I know all of us are busy. Veena is busy. If you guys have questions, just write them to or DM me. We'll get them answered. If you really want to get them answered quickly, join her Facebook group. I see a whole bunch of people dropping the link in there, and jump on her live chats, and you can answer them. But thank you so much, Veena. I appreciate it. If we kept going, it's gonna take another 30, 40 minutes. We love everything you're doing. You're giving so much knowledge, and more people are coming up with questions, but
yes,
respect each other's times here, guys. But thank you so much, Veena. Thank you so much for coming in here and showcasing your skills here for the Powerhouse. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys. And like Carlos said, I'll answer all these questions. Just drop them in my Facebook group. I hang out there. I do random Zooms, so I'll answer them. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Sweet.
Thank you,
Veena.
Veena.
What's the best way to follow you on Instagram and in Facebook?
Just Veena Jetti on Instagram, and then Mastering Multifamily with Veena Jetti is the Facebook group. And then, I talk on Clubhouse sometimes too. I don't know if you guys are on Clubhouse, but I like that app. That's like one of my favorites.
I'm not.
So I do Clubhouse discussions I did one yesterday on multifamily. So I'm there too.
Sweet, guys. We'll go ahead and post those links up. Everybody jump into her Facebook group, follow her, drop some gems, tag her on all the fire that she's been dropping today.
Please.
I have a lot of stuff that I've written down, and I'm gonna go ahead and post it up. So thanks
it.
again. I really appreciate it. I
Yes.
learned a lot here. I know everybody else did.
Thank you. And I have a YouTube channel. I forgot.
There it is.
I'm not good at this. So I do every now and then. I actually am looking to hire someone right now to help me with like YouTube videos. So you'll see more content on there. It's, I think, Veena Jetti 1 on there.
Okay, we'll put it up here. We'll get it for you.
Awesome.
Thanks so much. You all appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys take care. Have a good rest of your day and Happy New Year. Don't drink and drive. PSA.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year. And don't Zoom and drive.
And don't
Is that
Zoom and
upset?
drive. Yeah, I don't like it. The mom and me cannot handle this.
Thank you. Happy
All right,
New
guys.
Year.
Take
Thank you so
care.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.